All right, today we are doing a walkthrough on this thing, which is my Cub H16 hybrid caravan. And it is not at all level right now, so let's fix that, get my step out. Now I've actually opted on this one to have no step, despite the fact that I'm married to a tiny lady and have two tiny children, because the steps hang down a little bit lower and I knew that I'm a liability and I know I'll break it. So what I do to level this thing out is I bought one of these. It's like a $5 little two-way, what's that called, spirit level. This has ATX suspension from Cruisemaster, which means that's level. So other caravan mates who don't have that get very annoyed when I do that, because that's how long it takes to level. It's got its own inbuilt compressor and everything, big air tank underneath. That's leveled out. Now I think I'll pop the roof. 4 latches. Press the button, 40 seconds. And it just automatically stops at the top. Cool. I'll do the kitchen later. In here is my fridge box. That's where I keep my awning handle. It's not a windy day today, so I'm not going to peg it down. When I do, I just use some of those screw-in tie gear pegs and they're ropes, and it's very, very solid actually. Like, way more solid than I thought it was going to be. So it's a Fiamma F45 awning, 4.5 meters long by 2.5 meters or 2.3 meters or something. Roll it all the way out, get your legs out. Then it's just got a little, you can obviously use it like this, but to get it really nice and effective, you've got to use this spreader thing. Which just goes in there, which you can then put tension on. So you wind it back in. Tensioned, awning done. Kitchen. Just slides out, no legs, no plumbing to plug in, it's all plumbed. It's just got these little bits of stainless that hook in. And then that's good to go. So hot and cold tap. It's got a hot water system inside, which is diesel and is honestly incredible in some ways, and also not my favorite in other ways. So I've previously had a gas hot water system in my trailer, and that meant I could basically continuously have hot water. This, if I shower, I get about 5 minutes. And then it takes about 3 more minutes to heat up. So if you wait 5 minutes between showers, you're all good, but I can't just sit there and shower forever. It heats up a lot faster. It uses bugger all diesel. So this is the diesel tank at the front here. This little thing here, I think it's like 9 litres or something. I've been using it for, what was it, 5 days in the bush with my kids. We had showers every night. The kids had baths every night. I don't know if you can see this, but there's a little gauge. That's the diesel level after 5 days. So I've used this much. I don't know how many litres that is, but maybe 2 or 3. It's just like nothing. And then of course, when I fill up the car, I fill up the diesel there. So I think my main problem is going to be like having too much diesel in there and it going stale, the rate I use it. So yeah, if you want to use a gas cooker, you just plug it in here, gas bayonet there. In here I have an 85 litre fridge. You can fit a 95 of other brands. My 96 didn't fit from my Frontier, so I got an 85. But I believe, yeah, some other brands you can fit bigger ones. In here is a pantry sort of thing where I keep all my pots and pans and dirty stuff. That is massive. So like okay, in here, gloves, oil, 2 Solid Technics pans, a wok, my pots, my camp oven, a Jaffa line, 3 rolls of paper towel, and it's not full. So it is an absolute like TARDIS of a little unit. So it's great for like all my fire cooking gear. You can see that like I don't have to squish anything or move anything to get stuff in. I can just drop it in and it's good to go. Kitchen, now standard, this is the cutlery drawer. I actually removed the cutlery divider, and I got a tip from another YouTube channel just fanning it, and they got me onto one of these things. This is a cutlery divider that cost me 10 bucks on Amazon or something, and it takes up half the space, or actually a third of the space of a normal cutlery divider, which meant that instead of using that entire drawer, I now just have this little thing, and my cutlery's there. The only thing, you can't see the end of it, so you just have to get to know what's in there, which I do. And then utensils here, and I haven't really worked out exactly what I'm going to put in here, but everything fits easily, and I've got this nice new bare bones stuff as well, which is very fancy. Up here, a couple of lights, and there are also lights there, USBs and outlet for 240. That's just a 10 amp socket. Now, everything is controlled by RedVision. So I've got my water, all my power supplies, my inverter, stereo, my tank levels. So I've got 3 100 litre tanks here and an 80 litre grey water tank. So you can see they're all pretty full. Then I can see all my charge current and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's all very easy to use. It's even got this thing here, start battery recovery, where I can literally hit that and it's going to go and charge back my starter battery. So it puts 53.7 amps back up into my starter battery to recharge it. So that's a jump starter, really. Very, very cool. I actually used that the other day. What's next? So I'll show you the lights. Yeah, lights. In the front here is where I keep, this is my pantry really. Long stuff up there that goes all the way through, so I put fishing rods and all that kind of stuff. My axe, shovel, my ridiculously long tongs. In here I've got my pegs. This is not well organized, that's all Fred's stuff. And then I actually usually just put my bags of shopping in here. Because I usually have 1 or 2 because I have a pantry inside. So this is just used as like extra supplies. Also, it's a light. I put light stuff in this drawer because it's so far forward, so just for weight distribution. 2 jerry can holders, 2 gas can holders. I only run 1 because I don't use gas very often at all. So just to save weight. Not that the thing's heavy, it's 2.105 or something, basically 2.1. Wood or general purpose rack, I use it as a wood rack. I even put my outboard on here, put my chainsaw on here. It's very similar to one I had in the Frontier, and they're very, very strong. I have an extended drawbar because I have a Prado which has a giant door. So I can open that fully easily. In some angles it will touch, but if I just turn very slightly left or if it's level, it's totally fine. So just for a normal pullover, it's totally fine. ARC 750 jockey wheel, now standard. They are brilliant. And I run a DO35 hitch because I find them very forgiving to hitch up. And I need to buy some hooks for this. Something to consider, Caravans need a 12-pin socket because they need power for the breakaway system, the brake breakaway system. So if you have a 7-pin, you need to get that upgraded to a 12, which is honestly worth doing because then you can tow anything. if I had my time again, I would never have got the 7-pin, I just would have got the 12. Because you can actually plug a 7-pin flat into a 12. That's what the bottom level of a 12-pin is. Anyway, it's a lot of detail on trailer plugs. All right, so we'll keep going around the outside. As I said, 10 amp socket there. It's got a 3 kilowatt inverter, so no issues plugging anything into there. We had a toaster and kettle and everything plugged in there the other day. Spare wheel, you do not need 2 spares for a Caravan if it's a single axle, I think. I think 1 spare per axle is a good rule of thumb. I only have 1 spare on the Prado. I do have a 2nd spare at home that I can chuck on the roof, but I've never actually needed to do it because I run good tires, generally. Stabilizers, which I never use. This has a reverse camera, which is fantastic because it gives you much better vision than not. And I've opted for the spotlight kit as well. This is a hook for the external shower, which is very simple. It's a shower. It works like a shower. Oh, that's loose. Hot, cold, whatever, and then you can hook it on there. We use that for the baths for the kids. This is my poo vent. So that is venting from inside my toilet. I have a composting toilet in this, the charcoal filter on that. That is full of poos and it doesn't smell. Solar input. With this, because I got the Cruise Master suspension, they do upgrade the tires and wheels. So I've got a proper muddy, which I think is really good. I love towing with muddies because I find they grip much better on gravel. And you don't get impacted by the sound because you're in the car. Now, that's my 15 amp in, a couple of circuit breakers and 15 amps in. This thing runs, this is a Starlink pass-through, which is just a boat bung. And what that means is I get my Starlink cable, I feed it through there, and I plug that into my aerial, and we are good to go. And I plug the Starlink modem straight into here, which is just there. So I just do that. It's my inverter. Switch the inverter on and I have Starlink. So I wanted to do that. I wanted the boat bung basically because it'll keep this sealed up, but gives me, access to everything without having to run it through a window or something like that. Isolation panel, this is the this is the RedVision, 3 kilowatt RS3 inverter from RedArc. And then underneath there was a Manager 75 and actually had an issue. It failed within 24 hours. So that's exactly what you want when you have an issue with something, right? So it was just faulty. Sometimes you get a dud unit, that's okay. I still think they're a reliable unit, just that one failed. So I called RedArc, they were fantastic. They sent the guy around and he only had 1 replacement in the state. And it wasn't a 75, it was a Manager 100. So now I have a Manager 100, which means I can have up to 100 amps of charge. Speaking of charge, on the roof, 720 watts of solar. And then I can plug in, I have 3 300 watt blankets, so I can plug into here up to 900 watts, bringing me to a total of 1.6 kilowatts of solar if I so need it. That would be hot environments. I want to run the aircon all the time because the aircon on full noise draws about 65, 70 amps. Storage. A couple of my blankets, Osprey, and my big compact bras fit perfectly in there, actually, the big fire pits. So I fit 2 of them in there easily. See if Fred's chasing the... No, he's not chasing, that's good. We're in the Nangara Pines, which is a dump, and full of dirt bikes. I'm fine with the dirt bikes, it's just, this place is just a dump, generally. My water hoses, my Sea Gear mat, my recovery gear, awning wall from Sea Gear. Haven't used that yet, but I'm definitely gonna use that. Always wanted one of those, because then you have 3 sides of cover. You got your top, the van itself, and then the awning wall. That's awesome to me. And front spotlights as part of the spotlight kit. And that's about it on the outside. So I think we can venture into the interesting bit, which is inside. Okay. So this is how I store my stuff when I'm moving. This is my other pantry, as I mentioned. It's just a big Kelmat bag, and that usually sits up here while we're at camp. My coffee machine, because I can. And that's just the stuff for the coffee machine. So this is my inside kind of kitchenette style thing, and it is very empty. Seriously, of all these drawers, I have a couple of little bits of mozzie repellent there, some random stuff in there, and then everything else is actually empty. So when we went away, we used these, one drawer each, for our clothes. So one of these drawers, might not look like it, but that holds as much as a standard washing basket. So that's how we packed. We've packed a standard washing basket and just chucked it in there. And then this is our inside pantry, where I got coffee. I've got these OXO containers because I like fancy stuff, and OXO make really good gear. For like my staples, sugar, rice, flour, that kind of stuff. Soda stream, kettle, paper towels, bit of muesli, and that's it. So that's actually really very empty, but I'm also not on a trip. So we found we didn't fill the van, even though we went away for nearly a week with the kids and the dog and the boat and the everything. We packed like we were going away for a lot longer. We brought a lot of stuff home, and yeah, it's just wild. Also got these big cubbies in here. So I've got like a big survival first aid kit, which is essential, but that's like swimming in there. Like I could fit 5 of those in there. Air up kit. Again, like that's all that's in there in these cubbies. And these are the air controls, which are good in the stereo. So it's got inside speakers and outside speakers, and that's where I keep my Starlink, just on the bottom bunk. So then in here we have the toilet. So lights, put this vent up, and it's got an exhaust fan. And I've gone for a composting toilet, and I have not locked the bloody, look at this. I forgot to lock the bathroom cupboard when I was going. There we go, much better. Composting toilet. I'm not going to go into too much detail. You can look up reviews online. Basically, it has a hole for 2s, a hole for 1s. It has a pee jug, and instead of having a cassette, you just unclip the toilet, take it outside, and you can throw it in the bin. You can bury it. You can do whatever. There's no chemicals in there. It's just turds and peat moss. Now, the reason I went for composting over a standard chemical toilet was that I can go like weeks between emptying, as opposed to sort of 4 or 5 days with a standard chemical toilet. Maybe if you've got 2 people that aren't using it a lot and you wee outside, you might get, say, a week, 8 days to a cassette, but that's pretty unlikely. This will do more like 6 weeks. So for me, that was a no-brainer. I don't want to be emptying toilets. I also go remote a lot of the time, and there's nowhere to dump, so I'd have to bring extra cassettes. So yeah, I really like the idea of something that I can just dump the contents out in the bush, or wherever. It's just turds. You can bury them like turds. Aircon. It's a Webasto unit. It cranks. I had a nap in here the other day because I was tired, and I was driving. I pulled over, turned that bad boy on, 21 degrees, turned this thing into an absolute icebox, and had a very, very comfortable nap. This bed is incredible, absolutely incredible. Bunks, 175mm long, so you do need specific, just with all of this bedding in here, this is all from Wild and Wandering, and I looked at a whole bunch of different brands. These guys seem to be the best value, and the gear is really nice and soft, very easy to fit. It's all zips. Really a fan of this stuff. It's beautiful actually, but everything fits nicely, which is very important. You can't just use standard bedding on these things. So Billy goes up here, and he has like a standard barrier that from his bed at home, and then in here is where Hugo goes, our 10-month-old. And we bought this barrier. It's from Cause I Can with a K, and it's good quality, but the ends are starting to fray, which get caught in the zip occasionally. So I'm gonna have to hit that with a lighter. It's about 250 bucks, and you have to install it yourself, and it's all like these press studs. So you drill them in. Took me about 20 minutes. Not hard job, just need a drill. Heavy stuff storage. I put all my heavy stuff over the axles. So tools, which I didn't do up, tool bag, beer, socket set, power tools, Starlink stand, and there's still tons of room in there. So that's just my heavy gear storage. You can technically put stuff under this seat, because that's where the water heater is and some wiring and stuff. I would put like emergency parts, like a bearing kit or something under there. Yeah, certainly not something you use day to day. Because you've got to take that cushion off and then that cushion off, which is not hard. There are no tools required, but it is the thing. I've also just changed this table over. We had the original table, and I wanted to try the big one. I've still got both. I'm not entirely sure if we should keep this or not, because it's a little bit more awkward than the original one just to get in. But I mean, look how much space there is. So when I'm on the road and I need to do some work, this is going to be brilliant. Also, for just two of us eating dinner, great. Or the two kids eating dinner, I can definitely see an argument for both. So, don't know. I'm going to take this away and see how we go. GPO under here. Standard PowerPoint. Yes, I do have a second fridge in here because I like ice, and so it's just like a bag of ice and some frozen baby food. It's a little 20-litre Microorman. It uses no power. It's just set to -18. Doesn't really take up much space, and when we're at camp, it just sits underneath the other fridge, plugged in. Oh, I didn't mention, it has 600 amps of lithium, so powering two fridges is certainly not an issue. It is an absolute power monster. It's funny, I drained it down to 25% because we were in the shade and using aircon all the time, and Starlink didn't get turned off for a week. And I was like, oh, 25%, that's a bit worrying. And I deliberately let it get that bad because I knew we were leaving the next day. And then I thought about it, and I was like, 25% means I have 150 amps usable, which is the same as my Prado fully charged. So yeah, it's ridiculous. Queen east-west bed. God, these sheets are so comfy. And the mattress on this, these mattresses are kids mattresses, so they're hard. They're supposed to be. I don't particularly like sleeping in them. I also don't fit in them, and I haven't slept in them. But Sam's laid down in it. This, on the other hand, is 135mm inner sprung with a latex pillow topper, and it is so comfortable. I sleep so well in here. PowerPoints are these little lights. You see there's reading lights. They have USBs on the side. There's also extra PowerPoints here, and this is the control for the diesel heater. So to turn that on, I just press that twice, and the thing goes green, and then that's it. And if I want to use it as a space heater, down on the floor there is a little vent with two buttons, with a switch on it, and you hit that switch and it blows hot air in, and it's very, very effective. Siroccos, I've got 2 in this. I'm gonna add more, probably a third. I just want another one for this bed. I don't know where it's going to go, but I'm going to add a third. I don't think this top bunk needs one necessarily, but certainly this does. The reason I wouldn't add one for the top bunk is because I can't have it on the wall, and I know Billy's going to stick his fingers in it because he's Billy, and it'll hurt and he'll cry, and then hopefully he doesn't do it again, but we'll see. I can also clip other fans on. Some stickers that my kids put on. And this bed has been the forefront, like this is the playroom, this bed. The kids love rolling around on it. It's actually very safe. because they're held in on 3.5 sides. So yeah, it's been really, really good. Sam and I sleep extremely well in here. People talk about, oh, you have to climb over one or the other. We don't really care. It really doesn't make a difference to us. Yeah, we both get back to sleep extremely easily. So even if I do get woken up, don't care. If you're a light sleeper, maybe you need a a north-south bed, but we're fine. And if you're deciding which way to have it, as in like you're used to, basically if you want to figure out which person goes on this side, you can just switch the head end of that you use, because it works either way. This is a Dometic dust reduction system. I don't know if it works. Haven't really had an opportunity to pressurize it much. Yeah, it's just there. I just thought dust reduction system sounds good to me. So yeah, you can just, it's got a little filter in here and it's got a block off thing for if it's really, really raining, which I used the other day. And it's just held up by magnets. And that's, oh, and then there's one more drawer here, which is used for nappies. And there's another drawer here, which we use for towels. And that's actually our laundry basket. It comes right out. And then the biggest storage compartment of the whole thing, under the bed. So heaps of storage under there. We put all light stuff under there and a Dyson. Water pump, hoses, stuff we don't access all that often. Spare bedding. We have 2 little kids, right? And actually on this last trip when Hugo got sick, he was throwing up all the time. So the beds get bodily fluids on them, and we need spare sets of bedding. So we've got 4 sets, so 2 on there at all times. They're interchangeable, obviously. The kids like the patterns. And it means that if one kid keeps having accidents or throwing up or whatever, we can change that bedding up to 3 times, which is really good. So, yeah, but definitely buy multiple mattress protectors, sheets, pillows, everything. We didn't buy multiple Doonas. We just got the sheets because that's kind of the main thing. Other than that, yeah, as I said, speakers here. We opted not to get the TV because I don't think we need it. If you really want to watch something, I'll watch it on the laptop. And I don't really watch much stuff out here. I mainly work if I'm going to be using a screen. So, this thing also fully blacks out. So, if I close that, and this, and then I do this, it's completely dark. And that is awesome for naps. Kids come in here, black it all out, and they can very, very comfortably have a nap. Switch the aircon on if it's a hot day. Aircon with solar out uses about, what's that net? 5% an hour of the battery. So it's just not an issue. It's really not an issue to run the aircon for a 2-hour nap and use 10% of the battery. I will say, having such a huge battery pack, the biggest challenge is, of course, feeding it back in. So my car, I can set on my manager how much current I get from the car versus how much I get from other sources. So it'll max out at 100 amps, obviously. I don't want to put 100 amps in from the car because the Anderson can't take it and my alternator can't take it. So I've set it to 45 amps. And I would, for a long trip, I'd drop it down to like 30 just to take the edge off. Or if I was driving at night with spotties on and stuff, I'd drop it down to 30. It takes 2 seconds to drop it down, and then I can also set the AC charge, so I'm not like maxing out someone's generator or whatever, if I needed to use that. And then it'll take as much solar as it's given. So you can't max out a charger by plugging solar in. It will just take as much as it can and then stop. So you could plug like 5 kilowatts into it and it'd be fine. All right. What do I think of it? It tows amazingly. Now, I also want to be clear, Cub's a sponsor of the show. I'm also allowed to say whatever I want. So I'm not impartial, but I'm also not here to feed you crap. I'm going to tell you what I think of it. I was annoyed that they had a couple of dust issues. Thankfully, they were easily fixed, and I expected something to fail. I was a bit annoyed when the red arc failed. Again, it was easily fixed. This is all stuff that happens in the first few kind of weeks of owning a van. I've heard multiple people say you should just go and buy a 1-year-old van because people have ironed out all the little kinks. There are like 2,000 components in this. It makes sense that something failed, and I'm not annoyed at that. I fully expected stuff to fail, and I wanted to figure it out early so that I can go out with my kids safely, which is exactly what I did. Fuel consumption, it uses more fuel than towing a camper trailer, obviously, because it's heavier. Yeah, 2.1 tonne. So my camper trailer weighed about 1,200 kilos. So it's about 900 more, and feels like it's about 900 more. It tows better, it's got better manners, but it is heavier and uses more fuel. So I get about 18 driving like me, which is quite hard. I used to get about 15 towing the camper. So kind of, yeah, 2 or 3 difference. If I have a massive headwind and I'm going hard and it's totally full with 300 litres of water, I will get like 22, just because that's what happens. Speaking of water, as I said, 300 litres water, plus 2 Jerry's in the front, plus 30 in the car, 370 litres of water. Make sure you've got a bit of time when you're filling up your tanks if you've got a setup like this. Camping out of it, it is unreal. It is mind-blowingly good to camp out of. It is so different to a camper trailer. I genuinely can't believe how nice it is. I thought it being a hybrid pop top would make it feel kind of somewhat still outside, and it kind of doesn't. It feels like a little apartment. It's so solid. It's amazing in the wind, including driving with crosswinds and stuff like that. It handles beautifully. I just couldn't be happier. My kids love it. Sam loves it. We've got more power and water than we can ever use. It's easy to get in and out of. It's easy to set up. It's just safe and secure, and I feel really good about it. Even just the fact that it's about 5'3" with the roof down inside, or 160 centimeters. Sam's 150 centimeters. She can easily walk around in there with the roof down, and I can still get in there and change a nappy or pack it or whatever with the roof down. So the roof up or down really is fine. In fact, I'll just quickly show you the height while I'm chatting. The awning I really like because it's so bloody fast. I would love one of those big electric automatic ones that has like the G sensor in it that gets put away, but again, it's more weight, it's more complication, you know, and it looks uglier and it catches on trees and all that kind of stuff. Everything's a compromise, right? Like, you know, as I said, it'd be great to have a fully electric, self-standing, no poles, no ropes, that kind of thing awning, but yeah, it's just more stuff. Cost. Everyone's going to want to know the cost. These things start at 90 on the road. This one, because I spec'd it up so high, ended up at 130. So that sounds like a hell of a lot. Look at vans, Australian-made vans with similar spec. I don't know of any that are the same price. Genuinely don't know of any, aside from like Jayco, which that's not in the same league. On that, you might be saying, oh, you know, I bought one 3-4 years ago and it cost me X. 3-4 years ago is a very different market to today. Prices are way higher today, and I think this is in a good price point. So, who would I recommend it for? They've got 3 different options. You can have 2 singles, or a king, or the bunk option. It honestly works for anyone. If I was going to do a lap of Australia, I probably wouldn't get a pop top. I would get a hard top, so I'd get the L16 or the C16. But for people who want to go a bit further off-road, by the way, off-road, that's what I haven't spoken about. Off-road towing is unreal. It's bigger. It's 2.2 wide, so it's narrower than a full-size van, but it's still wider than a camper trailer. You do need towing mirrors with it. That's a whole nother kettle of fish. Don't get me started on how much I hate my clear views. So it's physically bigger. It's obviously you can't fit through as much stuff. That's just the nature of towing a bigger thing. But as far as manners, it's beautiful. I was on the beach on like lots of whoops, and honestly, the van handled better than the car, which is incredible because I have very good suspension in my car. I mean, the reality is I can get away to more remote locations for longer with this setup than I ever could before. So that's exactly what we're doing. In July, we're going up to the Kimberley and taking this with a mate, maybe even two mates. And I am pumped about that. The only other thing I'm going to change on this is I'm going to wrap these windows with bush wraps, because the Perspex windows are the first thing to get ruined on a Caravan, because Perspex is soft and you can't have glass windows on a Caravan. So if you call bush wraps or email them or whatever and tell them the models of your windows, which you can find out from your manufacturer, then yeah, just get them. Also, so on this kitchen quickly, I actually thought that I was going to get, I actually was thinking about getting induction on this. It's not an option, but we were thinking about making it one. Kind of glad I didn't. I actually quite like the gas. I know, yes, I do use gas when I cook for my kids because it's quick. I would prefer to use my power for aircon than this. And I do have an induction cooker. So I've just got a standard little induction cooker, which cost 55 bucks from Kmart, and it sits in the drawer for long trips. And that's my, oh crap, it's a storm, I need to get inside the Caravan and get out of the weather. I will use the induction cooker in there. Oh, just quickly show you the height internally. I'm 5'11", 180 centimeters. That's the height. Not bad. Very easy to get around. It's totally fine. So very easy to pack and stuff. Or you can use the toilet. Wouldn't use the shower, but you can use the toilet. The shower, by the way, is in front of the toilet. All right, that's it. That's my Caravan. I'm stoked with it. Tell me in the comments how soft I am, and I'll see you in the next one, which won't be about Caravans. Bye.